Alright, hey guys, today what we're going to be talking about are units of measurements, and really why the units are the really important point of a measurement. Alright, so let's first start with this sentence, and I'll kind of show you why the units are so important. So, a football field is blank long. Okay, now, everyone knows and understands that the answer to this is, whoa, that's a little bit big there. Let's make that smaller. Yeah, let's get rid of that guy. Okay, like I was saying, so we know that the answer to this is 100 yards. Okay, because that's how long a football field is. And this really has two parts. So this first part here, the 100, is what we call a quantity, and that's the numerical value of anything. And then the second part to this is the yards, and that's what we consider the unit. Okay, and this is a very simple different thing if we said 100 inches or if we said 100 miles. Okay, it's pretty obvious that that one's not right and that one's not right. But when we look at all three of these, do we see how all of these have 100 as part of the answer? Okay, so the number or the quantity part can be right, but if the unit is wrong, the entire answer is wrong. So if we're getting rid of those, let's get rid of those two. So we really only want this guy. Okay, a football field is 100 yards long. Alright, so get rid of that, and we'll just write that in there. So it is 100 yards long. And, you know, that's really important. So, going from there, what we want to do is we want to look at the units that we're going to use in science. Okay, so on a football field, we use yards. We don't use miles, we don't use meters, we're always going to use yards. Well, in science, what we're going to use is we're going to use what we call the SI base units. Okay, and these are the SI base units. So we have length, which is the meter. We have mass, which is the kilogram. Temperature, which is Kelvin. And then time, which is in seconds. Okay, guys, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what these different units are. They're all in the metric system, which we honestly don't use a lot in the United States, except for seconds. Okay, seconds should be pretty familiar with everyone, right? Everything's broken down into seconds, minutes, hours, days, years, and that's pretty universal everywhere. But these other ones, the meter, the kilogram, and Kelvin for our temperature scale, those are going to be new, or at least new-ish, in the science for us, but in the scientific community around the world, those are the units that we're working with all the time. So we're just going to put those to the side and kind of leave those there. We are going to get more familiar as the year goes on, but just know that these are the units that we're going to be using in science. Now, when we're using these units, and really the reason that we use these units is they're really easy to work with. Okay, the metric system is a base 10 system. Okay, so let's write that here, right? It is a base 10 system. And the reason that that's so cool is it makes it really easy to convert back and forth into anything. You guys may be familiar with not just the meter, but maybe the kilometer. Okay, if you've ever looked on the speedometer of your car, okay, it's listed both in miles per hour and kilometers per hour. Okay, or in mass, the SI base unit is the kilogram, but when we're weighing stuff with the balance, we're going to be measuring it in grams. Now, those things are different from each other, but they're very similar in kind of how they work. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning how to convert back and forth in between these units without actually changing the measurement. Okay, and I'll kind of show you how this works. So if we have a question kind of like this. How many inches are in 3 feet? Okay, relatively easy question, right? And it's something that we can think about as we get going. Okay, and we all know that there is 12 inches in every 1 foot. Okay, that's pretty common knowledge, right? Well, this is what we call a conversion factor. Okay, and all that is that just means that we can use that to convert back and forth in between these two units. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to go from a known number of feet and convert that into a certain amount of inches. Because for whatever reason, maybe we just need to measure this thing in inches. Well, if we go through this, we can do this in our head pretty simple, and this is the process we're doing, right? That 1 foot is 12 inches. 2 feet, 2 times 12 is 24 inches. 3 feet, 3 times 12 is 36 inches. And that would obviously be our answer, okay? Now, the process that I want you to see here is that we're multiplying all of these times 12, right? 1 times 12, okay, here, 1 times 12 is 12. And for our second one, 2 times 12 is 24. And for our third one here, it's 3 times 12, and that's going to equal 36. Okay? Well, let's go ahead and get rid of those, and I'll show you how we do this with what we can call factor label method or dimensional analysis. It's going to have lots of different names. And this is actually what we're going to spend most of our time in class doing, okay, is this process. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our known quantity, which in this case is 3 feet. Well, we're going to use this conversion factor in one of two ways. Okay, in math, what we can do is we can put two equal things on top and bottom of a fraction, and they'll end up canceling out. And that's what we want to do, is we want these quantities that we're going to put right over here to cancel out so that it doesn't actually change our measurement here. Okay, so if we do this, what we're going to see is that we can do 12 inches over 1 foot. We could also do 1 foot over 12 inches. Okay, and both of these things should cancel out because they're the same on top and bottom. Well, in this case, I want to get rid of one of these real fast. Okay, we'll get rid of both of them. And we're going to show you how to cancel out these units so that the only thing left at the end are inches. All right? Well, we're going to multiply just like we did before. In this case, we're going to do 12 inches over 1 foot. Okay? Now, the reason that this is pretty cool, I'm going to make this smaller just so we have some room. Oh, those guys are separate. Let's get rid of them both real fast. Okay, so 3 feet times 12 inches over 1 foot. Okay, like I said, we're going to make these smaller. And now we're going to start to do some of this math. This is the same thing as saying 3 feet times 12 inches over 1 foot. Now, in math, just like everything else, we can cancel out something that's the exact same on the top and bottom. Well, what do you see here that's the exact same on the top and bottom? Feet right here and feet right here. So we're actually going to be able to cancel both of those out, right? We'll just cross those things out. Okay, let's go ahead and fix that, make that small, and re-look at what this looks like. Okay, So now it looks like 3 times 12 inches divided by 1. If we make that smaller. And now we can go ahead and do all the math part with the numbers. We're going to have 36 inches divided by 1. And anything divided by 1, right, cancels out to be just itself. So at the end of all this, we're left with 36 inches. Okay, and that ends up being our final answer with all of this. All right, so as you can see, what we're doing is we're just using these units, okay, that we started with, and we're going to cancel them out. And as we kind of go through this process, okay, here, here, and here, we're going to eventually be left with only one unit in our answer, and that's the answer that we're looking for. Okay? We're going to spend a lot of time with this in class and really practice using these different conversion factors, and I'm going to give you a whole lot more of them, but main idea here is that we can convert and use these base 10 units, okay, the SI system, to go from any unit that we want to any other unit, because at the end of the day, units really do rule the show. All right, guys.